Welcome back, everybody. We are here with an update from the World Cup in Baku. Fabi, first of all, welcome back. Congratulations on successfully finishing a few rounds, 3 rounds. Exciting games so far. Take us through, let's say, the process so far. These were not easy matches by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, I played two matches. The first one I didn't really play, right?
Yeah.
I didn't play it at all. I was seeded directly through to the second round.
Yeah.
Then I played Mihail Mishedlishvili from Georgia, who, like, at his peak, I think he was top 50 in the world. I think he was around 2650 or so at his peak back in the day. So he's been a very strong player. He's not at his peak anymore, and the match was pretty straightforward, I have to say. But the last match, the one that just finished today, was far from straightforward. I was playing Mustafa Yilmaz, and the funny thing is that I've known him since we were like 8 years old or
Yep.
something like that.
Me too. Yeah. Same generation.
Yeah,
Same
we're the
generation.
exact, pretty much like same. I think same birth year. Playing in the same World Youth events.
Yeah.
Going back to the year 2000, or even possibly even earlier than that. And so I've known him for a long time, not like personally, but as a chess player, I've known him for a long time. I played him in the Olympiad last year, and okay, he's a very good player, but I did feel like a heavy favorite. But the match was pretty topsy turvy, I have to say. It was a close one. It wasn't a smooth ride.
Well, I need to ask you about that first game. Obviously, we know that you were winning and then you kind of made a huge blunder in a winning position. It felt like anything wins. You missed one key move. How was that feeling for you? How was that moment for you? And how did you recover from that?
Well, it was funny because like during the World Championship match when I was doing commentary, I was very critical of Jan for his sometimes rushing through critical decisions while he had plenty of time on the clock in a very important event. And then I did the exact same thing, and I started to wonder, like, I really shouldn't be. I mean, there's a saying, right? People in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, and I guess I probably um, had to eat my words a little bit because I did the exact same thing that he did in the match. Not the same position, of course, but basically rushing through a moment where I have plenty of time and there's no downside to using the time.
Yeah.
And it's also the critical moment in the game, which means that, like, let's say at the start of the game, in the opening or something, it's usually not a critical moment because you're deciding between, let's say, a slightly better position, an equal position, or two types of equal positions, right? They're sort of, in chess, we have decisions that are relatively minor that don't alter the course of the game so much. But then clearly, when I have, like, you can feel that this is a critical moment somehow, that I'm close to a win. I felt it. I thought I was winning. And I just thought A6 is winning. I thought game over. I thought for maybe a minute. I don't know exactly, but it wasn't more than 2 minutes for sure. And I played A6 thinking, okay, game over. He resigns. Take. I just like calculated his A pawn running, like A5, bishop A6, A4, B7, A3, rook C8. I queen first. I win the game. Then, of course, he instantly played bishop G6. And ironically, going back to my room in the elevator, I met Jan, and he was the one who was like, "Oh, did you see rook takes C6?" So I was like, "Well," or he worded in a way. I think he said like, "Did you? I guess you heard about rook takes C6," and I think I said like, "Yeah, well now I have." I mean, it was immediately obvious when he said it which moment he was referring to because it's just yeah, take my a pawn promotes.
Yeah.
So that was pretty silly because it was a relatively good game up to that point. So
Very smooth after that point. Yeah.
yeah, pretty silly mistake. Um, Not one I'm very proud of, but
And then the
I guess it
second
shows
game,
that
I mean, you were under pressure the whole game. what was the strategy going into that one? Did you think about taking any risks, or were you okay with black pieces just to equalize and make a draw? Like, what was the strategy? Take it to the tie breaks.
Yeah, I kind of like read the same narrative that like I was under pressure the whole game, which I even read an article which said that I was like aiming for a draw from the start, and then I was under pressure, which isn't my memory of the game. Like if I wanted a draw, then I would play a different opening. I mean, the Queen's Indian was a fighting choice.
Yeah.
I wasn't opposed to a draw if it happened, but I was aiming for a fight by playing this Queen's Indian line because it keeps all the pieces on the board. Um, to his credit, he was very principled. He played like white doesn't have to take on d5 in the opening, so white can play with a more fluid pawn structure where you're more likely to see exchanges in the center and possibly a more sterile position. But he took on d5, it leads to a locked pawn structure where with clearly defined plans for both sides. It's a very strategically interesting variation, which I've looked at in quite a lot of detail. I really do like the strategic side of it. I find it very interesting. It's a favorite of, for example, Sergei Karyakin.
Mhm.
And in 2016, from the white side, I played the candidates against Sergei, and he played this line against me, and he was also defending it in the candidates against other players. So it's a very decent line, but you're basically gunning for a fight there because the pieces stay on the board for a very long time. So of course the position is objectively equal, but it's a position where you're likely to see people make mistakes because it's very complex. And I got what I wanted. He started to make some strange moves like Queen A1. I thought it was a very strange move. Then I thought I was better, like clearly better, but I couldn't find the right plan. And I felt like my plan should be connected to pushing d4 and sacrificing a pawn, but I couldn't make it work. So I was thinking in various moments, and I kind of had a big time advantage, which I burned up trying to make d4 work in various moments.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then the funny thing is, the moment that I finally played d4 was the worst moment that I could have. Like there were various moments where I played d4, I'm better, and
Timing.
various moments
Yeah.
when I played d4, I'm equal. But when I played d4, I was borderline losing. So I played it at the worst possible moment. Then I was losing, like objectively. Uh, and then he just blundered horribly. Like
Had
he
Rook
blundered
G1 or Rook
yeah, he
G2, I think he
blundered queen
played.
takes f4.
Yeah.
He played rook d to g2, blundering the f4 pawn. Uh, the win wasn't simple, but he was winning. It was like, let's say a strong engine gives +4. So my fate was no
It
longer
wasn't straightforward. There were some sacrifices. I think he had to take on h6, if I remember correctly.
yeah.
That was an exchange sacrifice. So it was definitely not straightforward. And Rook G2 didn't necessarily make a lot of sense because you're just blundering the pawn, but it felt natural just for the simple fact that you're tripling down, right? I'm actually kind of curious what he missed. I guess after queen takes f4, he just thought that he can sacrifice on g7, or
He didn't realize I could play queen takes f4.
oh,
He probably connected my ideas with knight takes f4, which he's obviously preventing.
yeah,
Uh, and he just missed queen f4. After queen f4, well, first when he played rook dg2, I was like, for a second, I was like, okay, I'm either dead lost because I missed something after queen f4, or he blundered. There was only two possibilities. But I looked at the board for like a second or two. I didn't see any immediately obvious reason why queen f4 is bad. And I figured that I'd probably lose if I don't play queen f4, so I just went with it. Then he started to think, so I realized he blundered. Then he found a remarkable resource when I was already like thinking the game is over, rook e6.
yeah.
And this is, of course, the last strange moment in the game. Because, okay, I took on e6, he took, and then rather than spending my time here for some reason, I just repeated. And after the game, he told me, like, oh, you could have taken on f5 and rook e7. And he wasn't sure it was winning, but he was rightfully concerned with it because well, it is winning for black. So I was winning in the final position where I allowed a repetition.
Did you even consider queen takes f5, or it just slipped your mind?
I considered it if you would consider it, like I calculated queen f5, e f5, and stopped.
Okay.
For some reason, I didn't go. I think based on a kind of casual glance, like uh, I thought that the g6 square is weak. He moves his rook, and then queen g6 happens.
Yeah.
Which one important detail is that after rook e7, if he tries to play rook e2, I have knight f4, so I cover g6, and I also attack his rook.
Yeah.
And the main issue for him is that like f3 is falling in pretty much every line, and after that his queen on g1 is so it's just like tactically doesn't work out because the queen on g1, rook on g2, everything is in the wrong place for that f3 pawn falling. So rook e7, he can fight on a little bit, but more or less it's game over, which was like two absolutely ridiculous mistakes. Uh, I mean, the second game wasn't good. It was very nervy. I was very nervous at some point because I think my final decision was very much based on the fact that I just had lost control earlier, and I was no longer in like any decent emotional state. So I thought I was losing. Um, and normally in a tournament, it's like, okay, you lose or you draw. It's not a tragedy most of the time. Here, it's like the tournament ends immediately. So realizing that I was basically losing and it was out of my hands and he could have eliminated me, I was just like thrilled to actually have still be in the match.
Yeah, yeah, no, it makes perfect sense, and actually, this is something that I feel not a lot of people understand very well, the type of emotions and the type of pressure. Because, sure, chess is a pressure game. You make one mistake, you lose, but the tournament usually goes on. This is just you make a mistake, you lose, you're out, you're back to wherever you came from. So it's quite a winner takes all type of situation, and the tension is extremely high. Cool. Well, and we've actually seen that with a lot of players, right? There's been so many surprises up to this point. MVL is out, Wei is out, Anish just got eliminated today. Everything happens in a split second in one move, as it often is the case. Cool. All right. Tomorrow, I believe you're playing Ray, an All-American matchup. Is that?
Well, tomorrow I'm not playing anyone.
Oh, tomorrow is a rest day.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice. That's
Tomorrow, the
nice.
funny thing is, there is a match. I think Ali Reza is playing Iturizaga, Eduardo Iturizaga,
Okay.
online, not in the World Cup, but they postponed their match. I don't know exactly why, but I was like hearing in real time why that they were postponing it because they couldn't agree on a date.
Mhm.
So they picked a date that was right in the middle of the World Cup, and it's on the rest day. So let's say if Iturizaga was still here, not eliminated, then he would be playing on his rest day match against Ali Reza. And Ali Reza, for some reason, didn't want to play on an earlier date. I don't know why. They had some earlier date that was scheduled and they got canceled and whatever, but they are playing tomorrow, I think.
Yeah. No, that makes
But I'm
sense.
not. But
Iturizaga
okay, yeah.
is so this is interesting because the tie breaks were today. It means that everybody actually probably for the first time in the World Cup gets a rest day tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Perfect. Yeah,
Some people got two.
two rest days, of course. Of course. Any plans for the rest day?
I don't know yet.
How has your routine been in this World Cup? Give us
Well,
a little
I've been
sneak peek into.
trying to recover a bit from some like unfortunate like slight minor health issues. Uh, I don't know, like I got some pretty bad infection before the World Cup. It wasn't like, I mean, it wasn't like a flu or anything. It was like an infection on my arm.
Mhm.
But at some point, it led to me having a fever as well, and it was also very painful.
Yeah,
So yeah, I've been like physically a little bit up and down. Now I'm feeling better,
that's great. Great to hear. Yeah.
but yeah, it's going to be a long tournament. I have to say, like tiredness and nerves will play a big part uh, as we get. I mean, already in the next matches, even in the matches that, like, if we look at the last round, my match was very nervy. Um, uh, Maxim's match, like a lot of strange things happened.
Yeah.
Also, Ivanchuk's match, he eliminated Wei Yi. It was like a little bit weird how Ivanchuk was playing in classical games. To me, like he played very irresponsibly, but but okay, it worked out. He eliminated him. So, like, Rajabov got eliminated. Also, I think he was one of the favorites in the tournament.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, Anish today got eliminated in a blitz in a, in the final blitz game.
No, and it's interesting because a lot of decisions, and this is, I feel, a big part of this specific format. A lot of decisions are very different than what you would do in other type of games. Like even Anish in today's match, at some point he got out prepared. I believe it was the last rapid match. He was white and he had objectively a better position, but his opponent Abasov was just blitzing out his moves. And then Anish was okay after like 3 minutes of play. He just decided to repeat the position and take the match to the blitz section.
Yes, but knight b2, rook g6, hitting that queen. So do we see a repetition? Rook g4, queen h6, rook g6?
Is Anish trying to get this into a blitz?
Well, I mean, he probably got out prepared again. Yeah, Abasov is just coming up with brilliant ideas, and yeah, Anish has nothing against repeating.
Wow. And Anish Giri with a draw, of course.
Yeah,
So
but this I mean, I saw this moment, and Anish took this decision very quickly.
he did, yeah.
So he played. Abasov came with some sort of rare line. Like I know the line, but usually, so his line was like first played Kramnik Sapolov in 2006 in the World Championship match. But usually black like castles instead of knight d7 leads to some endgame which is more or less equal.
Yeah.
And then he sacks the g7 pawn. It's kind of a rare idea. Anish almost instantly decided to shut the game down.
He did. Yeah.
Like he didn't want to play against prep. I understand. It was rapid. You don't want to play against prep. I understand this decision. But okay, you never know what will happen in blitz. It's 2-game blitz match. Unless you're like a huge favorite, it's going to be very, very close. So, and also Abasov, he fought well. He came well prepared. He had ideas. He outprepared Anish very cleanly in the second 25-minute game. Then, to be fair, Anish was winning that game at some point, so he could have put the match away there. He'll probably regret that moment quite a lot. But yeah, Abasov fought well and had ideas, and he was, he wasn't giving up, so it was a good match for him.
Yep.
But yeah, we see a lot of like very nervy stuff. I mean, Wesley, for example.
Oof.
Wesley has been losing like every single game at some point, but he somehow hangs in there.
Well,
I mean, he was losing twice against Jules today, but he drew both games. And then as soon as he gets an advantage, he wins. Like his conversion is very clean.
he's very strong. Yeah, shaky at times, but whenever you give him an opportunity, he'll capitalize on it. You're playing Ray. I won't ask you to give your preview because obviously those type of strategies maybe will be revealed after the match. But before I let you go, I need to ask you: do you still have any sort of extra TMZ style reports from the gym? I know your first report on Abdusatorov was very popular with our viewers. Do you have any any other reports from the gym?
No, I can tell you from the pool.
From the pool, okay.
There were players in the pool.
Beautiful.
Salem, but it's not very interesting. Like, what am I going to say? Like, Salem was swimming. I mean, it's not.
That's what the people
not
want
too
to
exciting,
hear.
right?
So there we go. That's what the people want to hear. Fabi, I'll let you go. It's very late for you. Go get some rest. Go get some prep going, and good luck in your
Thank you.
match against Ray.
Thanks.
Cheers.